Hey, how's it going guys? This is Tom from UDS and welcome to our review of About an Elf, a brand new game from Meringue Interactive that looks to combine elements of point and click, visual novels and RPGs. We're going to tell you everything you need to know before you play, and if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe for more video game content every single week. We got some cool stuff planned for 2022, so you're not going to want to miss it. So, About an Elf is a strange game, in which a lot of strange things happen, but I'll do my best to touch on what goes on and what to expect before I dive into my thoughts about it all. And boy howdy, do I have some thoughts about an Elf. Essentially, it's a visual novel about an elven princess named Dam, who teams up with a house cat to bring about Elftopia. Now, Elftopia seems to be some sort of elven nirvana, but even Dam doesn't quite seem to know what it is. The story is framed by Dam recounting it to her friend Dido, jumping between their conversations and the action at hand. And without giving too much away, I use the word action very, very loosely. But with a whimsical premise and a healthy mix of influences, would About an Elf deliver? No, it would not. But watch on to find out anyway. Firstly, this is the type of game that lives or dies based on its story and humour, as there isn't really much to speak of in the way of gameplay, which I'll touch on more in just a bit. Unfortunately, it absolutely fails to tell anything resembling engaging or entertaining. Structurally, it's a mess, swapping back between the past and present tense depending on whether the story's being recounted by Dam, or if the action itself is taking place. Now this would be all well and good, but you get rewards from Dido that you can then take with you into your next adventure, which has apparently already taken place, and now Dam is telling the story about it. I totally get that this is a game that's meant to be chaotic and zany, but you need to get the fundamentals down for anything else to work. Instead, you just get this messy splodge of things happening in no order and for seemingly no reason, which makes it incredibly difficult to get invested or even care about what's going on. What's more, when things do happen, the tonal shift is enough to give you whiplash. You'll go from heavy themes of loss, lack of purpose, and other existential issues to the game's usual, irritating attempt at irreverence. There's plenty of stories out there in all kinds of mediums that manage to balance pathos with comedy, but when your best attempt at humour is something you might find in an I Can Has Cheeseburger meme, you know we're scraping the bottom of the barrel. It might have flown in the mid-2000s, but now it's enough to make you cringe. None of this is helped by the visuals. The character models have this weird, uncanny valley CGI effect, cycling through the same 3 or 4 animations depending on the emotion of the dialogue. And I know this is par for the course for many visual novels, but the problem is, they look somewhere between crappy DeviantArt and art used to sell early 2000s graphics cards. You'll end up fighting the same sorts of enemies over and over again, with Underwhelming Worlds offering less than inspiring backdrops. You can kinda see what they were going for. As you're a tiny elf operating at least in part within the world of humans, the influence of the likes of Katamari and such are plain to see, but it just comes across as a cheap imitation more than a loving homage. Then there's the gameplay itself. About an Elf touts itself as a visual novel first and foremost, so I wasn't expecting much in the way of action. But I was still left disappointed. Aside from clicking through dialogue and some very light point and click elements, the main engagement comes from the combat. You'll have to slay some goofy looking beasts in what might be some of the most simple turn-based action I've ever experienced. You have a selection of elemental marbles known as Magiballs that are effective against different types of enemies. Before you can attack, you'll be given some sort of clue as to which ball to use. If it's the water ball, it might be a rubber duck in a bath, or if it's the lightning ball, it might be birds sitting on a power line. Some of these might be a bit more obtuse than others, but you'll get it right more often than not. And it doesn't really matter if you do get it wrong, as you'll constantly pick up gummy bears that act as your lives, and you'd be hard pressed to run out. And once you do pick the right ball, that's it. The enemy's defeated in one go, and you move on to the next one. And sometimes your feline companion will randomly decide to take matters into his own hands, and one-shot an enemy for you. Trust me, you'll run out of patience before you run out of lives. Maybe it's a weird form of reverse recency bias, but About an Elf may be one of the worst games I've played in a long time, if not ever. Even with a relatively short runtime, it was a bland, repetitive, and painfully unfunny slog that I couldn't wait to stop playing and delete from my Switch. Perhaps the humour might work for someone else, and maybe that's enough to carry the experience, but for me, it's a hard pass. But what did you think of About an Elf? Did you find anything to like about it? Please let me know in the comments below, I would love to read your thoughts. And while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe for more video game content here every single week, or you could always visit upsidedownshug.com to keep up with everything we've got going on. Until then, my name is Tom, this has been UDS, and we'll see you next time.